And let's go ahead and you know, talk about game one of Clemson's 2024 campaign. It's obviously no secret. The kickoff against UGA in Atlanta got announced earlier this week that it will be a noon kickoff. I'm going to be honest, that surprised me. I did not expect the Clemson UGA game to be a noon kickoff. Obviously, you know, everyone is picking UGA to win this game, rightfully so. Um, but I was surprised that a game of this magnitude, just the two brands of UGA and Clemson, obviously UGA being the standard in college football at this point in time. Obviously, Kirby Smart back to back national titles was a very close game away from going back to the college football playoffs last season, and very well could have won the national championship had they snuck into the college football playoffs last season. They're that good of a team. So a little bit surprised that a game of this magnitude. I remember back in the day, this used to be a rivalry game. This was, a
Yeah.
very heated rivalry, one that I wish would come back on a yearly basis. And that may be unpopular because of how good the Georgia
I'm with you, man.
program has become under Kirby Smart and how dominant they have become. But I would love to see these two teams play every single year. I love playing Georgia. It's always an exciting game to talk about and get ready for. And yeah, I mean, frankly, yeah, I mean, you can give your opinion, but I was surprised that they settled on a noon kickoff.
Yeah, I was too. I just always kind of assumed it was going to be the night game. The matchup back in 2021 was a night game.
Right.
Just figured it would be the same. So obviously that wasn't the case. But I'm not upset about that. Strangely, it's like, yeah, it would be cool to play at night, but I would have been more upset if this had been a on-campus game. Like if this had been at Sanford, or if it had been at Memorial Stadium, I would have been like, oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
You're gonna rob college football of one of those atmospheres for a Clemson
Right.
Georgia
Absolutely.
game? Like that would have been devastating. But I part of me thinks that ABC wanted in ESPN is wants to compete with with Fox with big noon kickoff and all of that, and they wanted a big time game to put in that noon slot.
Yeah.
And that's just, I have no reason to believe that. It's just kind of me speculating. And also, I would have been like I think another thing is that obviously Clemson not being up to the standard that we had known them to be definitely hurt as far as this goes.
Mhm.
But I after the last two seasons, having having to wait till Monday night to play football and watch Clemson play against two ACC programs, like it's kind of a refreshing change of pace for opening for week one. We wake up and we're playing at 12 o'clock. Like it's kind of nice. I did not like those Monday night games, and not just because we lost to Duke, but
Right.
it just I didn't like that in general. I didn't like opening with Georgia Tech either, even though we
No.
beat them by 30 points. Like I just I don't I, I get why the ACC did it. They wanted to take advantage of that Monday night time slot, but it's like you're kind of wasting it on a game that nobody cares about, really. I
Right.
mean, you have one. They're doing the same thing with Florida State and uh, is it? They open with Georgia Tech, right, in Dublin.
Dublin. Yep.
I think that's a Monday night game.
Ridiculous.
Who's gonna who cares? To be honest, like if it was one of your bigger brands playing in week one, it would make sense. But I'm just it's silly. I don't really
Yeah.
get it. So I'm not as upset about it being a noon game as some other people are. But I would have been fine if it had been a primetime game. But yeah, it's whatever. Hey, and hey, maybe it plays into Clemson's favor. Maybe
Yeah.
you take some of the air out of that stadium. So who
Yeah,
knows?
that's and that's true. Obviously, it's not a home game for Georgia, but it's kind of a home game for Georgia playing in Atlanta. That's kind of their home away from home, if you will. I was disappointed, but when you put it like that, it is far better than having to wait until Monday to play, which we've done for the past 2 seasons with the Georgia Tech and the Duke game that shall not be mentioned any further on this channel. Uh, but that was terrible to me. Like waiting until Monday to play to be the last college football team to play on opening weekend for 2 years in a row was absolutely ridiculous. I'm so very like looking at the ACC like, what we do to you, man? Like, why are we being punished? Because that's what it felt like. I would have rathered this game be a night game, be that premier time slot. But a noon kickoff isn't horrible to me because we don't have to wait, right?
Right.
Like we get to wake up, like you mentioned, and immediately watch Clemson, Georgia,
Yeah.
um, which could go really bad.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think especially if it goes
so,
really bad, like then it's like, okay,
yeah,
well, we got it over with, and
yeah,
there'll be more games, and it won't be the last thing on people's minds if
right,
we
right, yeah, yeah. And maybe we don't get our butts kicked on with everyone watching. Maybe
right.
some people still be cooking their game day food or something. But it could play into our favor. You talk about taking some of the juice out of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, right? It is harder for people, fan base. We've all been to noon games and we've all been to night games. The
Yep.
atmospheres are non-comparable. I
Yeah,
don't
and the noon
care
games at
how big.
Clemson,
I don't
it,
care how big the noon game
yeah,
is. It's never as juiced up as a night game.
right.
Those night game, especially in the Valley, like I mean, all the juice, right?
Yeah,
But it's really tough for fans because I mean, most noon games, kickoffs already happened. We're 3-4 minutes into the first quarter, and people are still filing into the stands, right? Night game, that's not happening.
yeah.
People have been in the stands 30 minutes, an hour before kickoff, right? So, there is some validity to that, I think. But it's just these two brands, Clemson, UGA, like that feels like a prime time, night game, just from a brand standpoint. But I get it. It is what it is, and I'm happy that we don't have to wait. We get to watch the game, hop on, do our post game show. Hopefully, we're really happy. Probably won't be, but hopefully we have some hope and some good things to talk about from the game. Hopefully, it's not all bad. I don't want to see a repeat of the Charlotte disaster that kicked off the 2021 campaign and was kind of the beginning of the end of Clemson's offense as we know it. We still haven't recovered.
Well, honestly, honestly, if Clemson were to lose this game 10-3 again, I mean,
Yeah, I might be okay with that actually.
that might not be
I
that
might be
bad.
okay. At least we could talk about how good our defense played.
Yeah.
At least we can talk about that,
Still
which
have
I
questions
fully
about the
expect.
offense though, because this Georgia defense this year is not that 22. They're going to be good, but it's not.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not
going to be good.
that
They do have some
2021.
question marks, at the defensive back position, in the back of their defense. There is some question marks there. Not saying they don't have good guys. I'm sure they got highly touted guy, but they don't have a lot of proven guys coming back there. So obviously, maybe there's some room for some plays there. But again, we'll see. I don't think they're this impenetrable UGA defense that we've come to know the past few seasons. I think they do have a little bit more holes than they've had recently. But again, they're still going to be an elite defense.
Oh yeah,
So, you're not just going to go in and
with Kirby
roll.
Smart and Will Muschamp, and yeah,
They'll figure it out.
yeah,
They'll figure out a way to put those guys in a position to win a lot of ball games. That's for certain. But again, going back to Clemson, we got quite a solid defense of our own. So A 10-3 wouldn't be the end of the world, obviously, but we'll see. Week 1 is going to be either really fun or really heartbreaking for us, Jordan. I hope this doesn't happen, but we may kick off the 2024 season with our first post game live in a loss, which we probably will.
For the second straight year.
For the second straight year. Look, this is starting to become a trend, man. I'm not okay with this. I'm not getting behind that.